Hey, so a couple of months ago, I had posted a post on some of my plant pages that I'm a part of on Facebook, and I gave the tip of how to get a hole in any kind of non plastic pot that you have. And this pot I showed you guys yesterday. This is my Kalanchoe, one of the ones I planted yesterday. When I got this pot, it did not have a hole in the bottom. It's just a cereal bowl that I got for really cheap. And I drilled this hole right here. You can see there's dirt in there. I drilled this hole in it to make a pot. It's really cute. It's a squatty pot, which is what my Kalanchoes like. And it's really inexpensive. Sometimes there's a lot of pots out there that are really nice, but they're really expensive, and this is a nice alternative to getting less expensive pots. You just kind of make your own out of whatever you have. You go to the thrift store, you can get a cereal bowl like this, or you can get a bigger bowl for like a salad bowl and put some holes in it, or different little teacups or coffee mugs for your seed starters, anything like that. This is going to work really great. So I have a couple different pots that I'm going to show you guys. I have ceramic pots, and I'm going to also show you two different ways of doing plastic pots in case you're not familiar with putting holes in plastic pots. So to start with, I'm going to do ceramic pots. So what you're going to need is some kind of power drill. And then this is the drill bit. I don't know if you guys can see this, that I chose. It has this interesting looking tip on it. It is for ceramics, and it's not very long. It's just this much more down inside. And you just stick it in your drill. You get it on there real well. And I pre-drilled a little bit of this hole because sometimes they can be a pain in the butt. But I pre-drilled this hole, but as you can see on the inside of this pot, there's no hole. And I have had a couple things in here that don't mind having water sitting in the bottom, but I also put rocks down in the bottom. But it's just time that I need some pots with holes in them. And so this is the pre-drilled hole here that I'm going to start with. And I'm just going to take the drill and I'm going to stick it in the hole that I started, and I'm just going to drill a little bit. And you can see on top here there is some dust, and that's okay because that's just the pot where the hole is going. It's just the pieces of the pot coming off. You can also, if you want, rinse it off with water and continue. It makes more of a paste instead of a dust. It's just whatever you prefer. Sometimes I use water, sometimes I don't. So I'm just going to keep going, and as you get closer, you want to kind of hold the pot. And there we go. We have a hole. So we have a lot of the dust on the top, as you can see here. That's what all this stuff is. And now we have a hole. So let me just get some of this dust off of here. Now I want to show you what the inside's going to look like. So the inside's going to look like this, and you can see there's this little piece in here right there. That's just a piece of the inside that chipped off. That's okay. We're just going to wipe it down like that. And you can see it down there floating around, and that's okay. That's just the inside of it that chipped off, and the water's still going to drain through it, and you're not going to see it because the plant's going to be inside the pot. And so now we have a hole in the bottom. And you can drill as many holes as you want. I'm just going to do one for right now and see how it does. And I can always take the pot back out. Take the plant back out and drill another hole, or however many holes I want to do. So I'm just going to dump that out, and there we go. That's one pot done. This is a pot that I got at IKEA years and years and years ago. It did not have a hole in it, and I did drill a hole in it, as you can see. And there's actually this little area, I don't know if you can tell, but it kind of dips in, And that's where I chose to drill the hole. And this was actually a really easy one because I was trying to pre-drill it and I accidentally it went all the way through. But you can see there's the hole in the middle. And if you want, you can do a hole right here and a hole right here, or 4 holes, however many holes you want to do. Some pots are easy, some pots are not. Some pots take a little bit of work. This bowl actually took a little bit of work when I did it because the bottom of it's really thick. So I do recommend checking out the thickness wherever you're going to drill the hole. And if it's really thin, I would recommend that's a good pot, or any kind, you know, whatever kind of cup or whatever, that's probably good to do. But if it's thicker, it's going to take a little bit more elbow grease. So you might want to kind of think about that one if that's something you really want to put that elbow grease in. So this is another one. I actually got this pot from my mom. I also started pre-drilling this hole, but as you can see, there's no hole right now in it. And I've had different plants in here with an extra, like their plastic pot that you stick in here. But now I want to put something in here that I need a hole at the bottom for. So I'm going to drill the hole. So I started my hole, and a good tip that I have learned if you have trouble keeping the point of your drill bit steady is you can put a little piece of tape, like painter's tape or masking tape, anything like that. You put it down where you're going to put the hole, and that gives you some traction to kind of have it. So far I haven't had an issue keeping it, which is surprising with my rheumatoid arthritis, but I've actually been doing pretty good with these pots. So I haven't gone with the tape. So this one seems like it's fairly thin between the bottom and the inside. So hopefully it's not going to take too much elbow grease. But I'm just going to take my drill bit and I'm going to put it in the pre-drilled area that I did. And I like to pulse like this because I have found out, and this is one of the ones I did it with. I'm so sad because he was a nice little pot, but I think what I'm going to do is put him in the garden. But he broke because this was one of my trial ones, and I held it really, really tight, and it just shattered at the bottom, which is okay. It happens, you know, things like that. You really want to test this out with inexpensive pots. This was not super inexpensive, but I'm going to use it for something. It just can't be for houseplants now. But I do recommend the pulsing method as opposed to holding and just drilling and drilling and drilling, because that's what can happen. So I'll put this back in here. So you can see we have a big old mound of dust right here. I'm just gonna tap that off because it's kind of getting in my way here. And I don't know if you can see, but it's really actually deep in there. Pretty deep in there. I think we're close to poking through, but I still need to keep going. I got a little bit more dust in there. All right, I'm gonna keep going. And there we go. Now we have our hole. Dump off some of this dust here. See, now we have our hole. Went all the way through. And again, you can do however many holes in it you want. This one was a little bit of a pain, but it's just because it took a little bit longer. And you get these little pieces that come off, that's okay. That's just what it does. And I do have like a little towel down. I wouldn't do it on a countertop just straight up. I would do something with a little bit of padding, just so the pot doesn't slide around, and makes it a little bit easier. So this one now has a hole. So the last one that I'm gonna do, this is actually a metal one. And this is what it looks like without the hole. So there's no hole. I got it from IKEA. I've had it for a long, long time. There's no hole in the bottom. As you can see, this is what it looks like. This one I started to pre-drill because I wasn't 100% sure how it was going to work with a metal one, because this is thicker metal than I've normally done. But I started pre-drilling here, and it's pretty thin, so it kind of poked a little bit through, but it's not all the way through. So we're just going to do the same thing. And you can see that it's got that silvery color for metal. And I'm just using the same ceramic drill bit. And I'm just going to stick it in here. And see, this is how it can sometimes be a pain. So we've broken through, but you can see it still has a little bit of area, might be better to see, where we haven't all the way poked through. So what I'm actually going to do, because I'm having trouble with the drill bit, which happens sometimes, I have a screwdriver. It's just the, I think this is a Phillips head. It's the plus sign one, and it's a longer one. So I'm going to stick this here, and I have a hammer. And I'm just going to hammer it down, and then I'm going to twist all around because I really want to open up that hole. And there we go. Now you have your hole. Looks pretty good, actually. And I do recommend, I wear glasses, but I do recommend, if you don't wear glasses, to wear some kind of safety thing on your eye, because you never know, a piece could go flying and get in your eye. So I do recommend that if you do choose to do this. But yeah, it's super simple to do and inexpensive. Most of these pots I've had, actually all of them I've had. None of them are new. I've had them for a really long time. So I'm just gonna wipe off my drill bit here. So next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually change my drill bit here to just a regular kind of drill bit. And it's a little bit on the thicker side. I have found when they're thinner, there is a possibility for them to bend, just depending on, oops, get it in there. Let's see. There we go. They can bend just depending on how hard it is to get through the plastic. So this is one of the ones, I'm going to start with this one first. It's just a little one. It actually came with a plant I got at the grocery store. There was another pot inside it, so you took that pot out. It had holes in it. It was a plastic pot like from the nursery. And you just water it that way and you put it in here. And it's just a flimsy little pot, but it's kind of a nice pot for like something kind of like a starter plant, or like a smaller plant when you first get it for its very first pot. So I want to put a hole in it, and as you can see, there's this X in the middle. So a good thing to know is when you have something like this where there's raised areas, depending on how big the raised area is, the water can still sit in the dirt. So you want to put holes where the lowest point is in the pot, which is going to be the little triangle area in this pot, because the plus sign in there is actually the raised area. So I'm just going to flip it upside down, just like this. And I'm actually going to do one in each of these little triangle areas. A hole in each one of those. So I'm just going to take, I put my drill bit on, and this one's going to be super simple because it's really thin. And sometimes you get these little pieces like this that come up. You can just pull them off, or if you have a sandpaper, you can do that as well. So now we have 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, in the bottom of our pot. Perfect drainage. Okay, this pot is the same. There is this big area in the middle here that is raised up. A little weird angle here. This part's raised up, and this part is way down there. So what I want to do is I want to put the holes in the area that's the lowest. You can also see it kind of better here. This part's raised, and this part is all the way down. So we want to put the holes here. So I'm going to stick my pot down. Again, it's on a towel. And we're just going to put probably about 5 holes. And you kind of want to get it in the center of the lip here. 1. And if it gets stuck in there, if you hit it again and pull up, it'll come up. Maybe we'll do 4. There we go. And if you get little bits of it on your drill bit, you just pull it off or hit it a little bit and they'll fall right off. Just tap this here and there we go. We've got our holes in the bottom of our pot. Super easy. All right, this last one, excuse me, this one is a really neat pot that I had got. It has this really cool stand that goes with it, so it stands up a bit, just like this. So it's easier for it to drain. It drains down the area down here. So these types of pots and a lot of bigger pots that you get at the big box stores have these little holes in the bottom of them, or these little rings. And if you can see, they have X's in them. And these are actually holes that if you take your little, get that in there, take this and you hit it. See. Normally it works. I must not be strong enough. But normally they'll pop out. You can actually see, which one is it? It's this one here. You can see it's starting to kind of go through. I prefer a drill. So I'm actually just going to drill the holes. But that's another method you can use is you take your screwdriver and then you hit really hard on these little circles and it'll pop through. I have a hard time with them sometimes because I can't hit them very hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drill some holes in between these circles to give me my drain holes. Last one. Here we go. And there we go. We have holes at the bottom of our pot. So now when we put something in it, it'll drain and our plants won't sit in water. I hope you learned a couple tips. If you have any questions, comment below. I will answer anything that I can. Look up anything that I don't know. Thank you.